Angel here. So excited about this video because I want to talk to you guys today about doing it afraid. And I have a story that I want to share with you guys where a time where I did it so afraid that I literally thought like pee was going to be running down my leg. I was so afraid. So about 8, 9, 10 years ago, it hasn't been all the way 10 years. It's been somewhere around 8 or 9 years ago. Me and 2 other people, one of them was a really close family friend. I'll just describe her like that to keep her identity away from this video because she'll probably kill me. And so it was me and her and one of her friends. We went to my church where it's Pastor Jamal Harrison Bryan, whom I love from like every fiber of my being, love him to pieces. Well, he did a call for the people that were in the congregation if they had a desire to be a public speaker, that he wanted to incorporate different people to come up and like read the morning not the morning announcements like at school, well, morning announcements on Sundays, and different things like that. Like he wanted to bring different voices to the stage. So he had called for an audition about a couple weeks before. Well, me and the other 2 women who I'm talking about, with that Sunday when we were in church, we were like, okay, cool, we're gonna go. Because we weren't really 100% for sure exactly what the audition was for. He just said if you have a desire to be a public speaker, to come to the church on that Tuesday night. So that's what we did. So we're sitting in this room like aside from the sanctuary of the church, and Pastor Jamal walks in. And he goes into detail of exactly what he's looking for. Like I said, he wanted to bring, some different voices to the front of the congregation to read announcements. And it would also give the people in his congregation, the ones that had a desire to be a public speaking, to also get practice while they're up there, reading the announcements. And so once he like described it like that, and like it was going to be him and 2 other assistant pastors that were going to be like the judge, my 2 friends bolted. Like they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was going to be like that. And I didn't know it was going to be like that either, but they were like, I am not doing that. Oh my goodness. And they literally left me there. I mean, not like left me stranded, but they went and sat in the car for the whole rest of the time that I was actually in the church going through the audition. So they left, and I was like, when I tell you guys, I was so freaking nervous. I was so nervous. So I'm sitting there. There's this one lady that went up right before I did. Well, what they did was they gave you like this sheet of paper, and everybody had a different sheet of paper, and it was like this poem that you had to read, right? And so when the lady that went ahead of me, when she walked up, as soon as she got to the podium, she put her stuff down. She looked up at the judges, and one of the judges was my pastor, Pastor Jamal, and the 2 other assistants. And she looked at them and she goes, so when do you want me to begin? And as soon as she said that, my pastor said, you got the part, go. And I was like, oh my God, like, what did she do? Like, what do you mean? She didn't even read anything. What do you mean? And I think like now looking back on it, I think what it was that they liked her assertiveness. She came up there, she wasn't like waiting for them to like tell her, okay, you can start. Like she went up there and she was like, okay, so when would you like for me to start? Like she took charge. And so now looking back on it, I think that's what it was. So she came back to her seat to get her purse, and she looks at me and she goes, just do that. And I was like, I can't do that. I'm not you. And so I was so freaking nervous. So it was my time to go up, and the guy gave me the poem. I walked up on the podium. You guys, when I tell you, when I get nervous, like my body sweats and like it's just different, and that's a whole different video. But yeah, so I was like so freaking nervous. So I'm standing up there, and you guys, I started to read the poem, and I couldn't pronounce the author's name. And so once I got to the author's name and I'm sitting up there and I'm trying to sound it out, my pastor interjected and he just said the name, because I kind of looked up at them too. So my pastor said the name and I said, thank you. So then I continued on reading. And then like within like maybe 45, 50 seconds into me reading this piece of paper, my pastor stops me and he goes, okay, stop, I've heard enough. He goes, come here, let me talk to you on the side. And I'm like, oh my God, what do you mean you want to talk to me on the side? Like, everybody else went off the stage and he didn't say, I want to talk to you on the side. It was just me. So, you guys, I was chewing a piece of gum when I was up on the stage, or yeah, up on the platform, whatever, stage, podium, pulpit. And I was chewing a piece of gum, but I had like had it like, you know, if you're talking and you're chewing a piece of gum, you kind of like put it to the side of your mouth. So that's what I had done. But when he said, come here, I want to talk to you for a minute, I was so nervous. Like, I felt like a kid in school that got caught chewing gum. And so I thought that's what he was going to say, like reprimand me for, like, you know, you shouldn't chew gum while you're speaking in front of people. And so what I had did was, as I was walking down the steps to walk towards him, I swallowed the gum because I was like, you not get ready to tell me I got this gum in my mouth. So y'all, I got rid of the evidence, okay? So I get over to him and he says to me, he goes, I love your voice and I love how your voice projects. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to work on your oration and then come back. So I was like standing there like, oh my goodness, like I couldn't believe, like I'm standing there talking to my pastor and he's critiquing me talking, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, thank you. As I'm walking to leave the church to call my two girlfriends that were sitting in the car to let them know that I was done, I was shaking so bad, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know what oration means. Like when he said, I want you to practice your oration, I didn't even know what that word meant, and I didn't have the nerves or the guts because I could barely talk because I'm like standing looking at my pastor in his face. And I couldn't even say, Pastor, what's oration? Like, I didn't even know what that meant. But listen, honey, I had Google. So what I did was I went home, you guys, after I found out what oration meant, because I'm a really heavy reader. Like, I love books. Like, I can sit and just read. I love books, and I have hundreds of books. I love books. So, but what I used to do prior to my pastor telling me that, I would sit and I would read my books and I would read the words in my head. After my pastor said he wanted me to practice my oration, I never read a book silently again. I would walk around my house. I don't care if it was 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I would walk around my house reading that book out loud because that was what my pastor talked about. Like he wanted me to practice speaking outwardly because I read books all the time in my head, but to read in your head and to read out loud is two totally different things. So you guys, I said all of that to say that when you are afraid to do something, that means you are on destiny. That means you're on purpose. That means you're on the right track. And just like I stood up there and like 2 seconds from urine pouring down my legs, I stood there because I knew that ultimately God was calling me to be a speaker. And I knew that this was something, either I was going to do it then or I was going to do it like when. Like, when was I going to do it? Because I'm clear on what I'm called to do. So when you get clear on exactly what it is that you're called to do, and everything that you do is in alignment with that, and you feel fear about it, do it. You're on the right path. That fear is simply, and it's not even fear, you guys. It's butterflies, it's anxiousness, it's nervousness. Fear comes upon us when there's a bear running, chasing us down the street. Fear is meant to protect us. Fear is not meant to stifle us and to keep us stagnant and not moving forward. We need to take that fear, put it in our pocket, and keep moving. But when you feel that, just know that that's an indication of you're on the right path. Prime example, when you say, if you have a passion to start a YouTube video, every time your YouTube channel, every time you go to sit in front of that camera and your heart starts beating, you're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. You know you're on the right path, because when you're on your way to that 9-to-5 job that you absolutely can't stand, your heart is not racing like this. And if it is, it's racing out of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here, oh my gosh, please get me out of this situation. But your heart is just like boom, 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 just boom, boom, just we doing boom, boom, nothing out of the ordinary, boom, boom, we just doing the regular stuff, boom, boom. Yep, we're gonna stop at this gas station, boom, boom, we're gonna go to this grocery store after work, boom, boom, we're gonna talk to this coworker, boom, boom, we're gonna go to this happy hour, boom, boom. Like nothing is going on. So when you do start to sit in front of that camera and your heart is going, it's like, oh my God, I feel the fear, I feel the fear. No, you don't. You feel life being injected in you. You feel your purpose, you activating your purpose within you. So do it afraid. Do it afraid. And now I can say years later, after taking my pastor's advice and not stopping, never giving up. I don't care how nervous I was to stand and talk in front of a crowd of people. I never gave up. And now I'm able to do that with a little bit of nervousness. Not as much as I used to be, not nearly as much as I used to be, but I still get nervous, you guys. I'm still freaking human. And it comes from just wanting to do well. When you're doing something you've never done before, you're out of your comfort zone, you're not trained in it. It's all brand new, and that's okay, as long as it's purposeful. Now, if you and your friends, you want to recreate the movie Set It Off with Queen Latifah, and y'all want to go rob a bank and your heart is going like that, that's not in your destiny. So that is the heart pumping that should stifle you. You should never have those kind of thoughts. But if it's to record a video, if it's to write a book, if it's to start a business, and your heart is going pitter patter, that is nothing but life telling you, finally, you're paying attention to me. You're paying attention to the inklings that I've been giving you. And now I'm in your body telling you, yay, I'm just as excited as you are. So you guys, do it afraid.